Hello, this is Pastor Nick Hood, and today we're at McCabe Field. This is part of a series of videos I'm doing to go back to my youth. One of the most instrumental parts of my youth was playing football right here on this field with an organization called the Westside Cubs. And today I have some men. It's interesting. We are all, I think, near 70 years of age, right?
70. Yep.
And we met. None of us knew each other when we met. When we were about between, 10 and 11 years of age. And we still like being with each other because we learned so much playing football. We have today, I want to start with Al Poole. Al's father, Sam Poole Sr., was one of the founders of the Westside Cubs in 1957. And Al, I want you to talk about what the Westside Cubs means to you, what it meant to your father, what it meant to your brothers, to all be a part of this. Okay, Mike?
Hi.
Yeah.
My name is Alvin Poole, and I spent my youth with the Westside Cubs playing football and baseball. I played football on this field and on an adjacent field over where the boys club is. That's where we play most of our games. I played until it was time to go to high school, and we had some great memories here. My brother James, he was a quarterback for the A team. My brother Sam, he played football with me. He lost his kidney in the first year he played with the B team.
I think he was the greatest athlete I remember on that team. He could beat most of us, including me, running backwards.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Yeah. And my youngest brother, Daryl, he was like 3 years behind us, and he played with the Westside Cubs also. And we all had just great experiences. This field here, we adopted, I don't remember what year it was, but my father decided to take it over. And he used to cut this field with a hand mower until we could buy him a riding mower. And he wore that one out so quickly that we had to buy him another one. But he used to cut this field, mark it, and have it prepared. He wanted this to be the best field that a kid could play on, something that they could brag about.
It was always prepared too.
You know, so we ended up having the Westside Cubs playing here. We had St. Cecilia playing here. We had Northwestern High School playing here. We had 3 semi-pro teams playing here. We were doing more than close to 40 games a season with football here and we kept this field just involved with people. And so McCabe Field became synonymous with football and Sam Poole. And we're just happy that he took the time, his time, because no one gets paid for this. He took his time to do this, and we just passed it on to another generation now.
All right. Let's hear from your daughter, Karen. Karen, you are a Poole, and you grew up in this whole environment of football and baseball and sports, run by a black organization.
The oldest black organization in the country.
Yeah. Say that again?
The oldest black youth organization, continuous youth organization in the country.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So share with us from your perspective, being a daughter of one of the first generation of Pooles to play here. What does this mean to you?
Westside Cubs is something that, growing up, I didn't understand it, but God in His infinite wisdom always orders our steps. My journey with Westside Cubs began with being a mascot on the cheer team.
You were a mascot.
I was a mascot. I wore the actual Cub uniform with the tail, the actual Cub uniform, and matriculated through the years with cheer. And after that, my granddad kind of just like, yep, that's enough of that. Come on this side. So we had a year where we didn't have a lot of volunteers. And I showed up to practice one day, and he was like, okay, here you go. You're running the registration, everything. So like I ran the whole football program. It was my first exposure to football administration. So and I was 16. And that's when I tell people all the time, I can't coach a lick, but football administration, I know how to run a football program. In the later years, everything he wanted, we made his dreams come true. He wanted to revive the stadium so that it was a top-notch facility for the kids in the area, because a lot of these kids didn't have an opportunity to go to the suburbs and play at the finer field. So he made this a finer field destination. It was either 89 or 90. It was declared one of the top 10 fields in the state. But the experience here allowed me to go on with my son, Caden, his football career. I was better prepared to manage him in his football pursuits because of my exposure here. Just knowing how the whole football life goes and what to do and how to prepare him for football life going forward. So this is a treasured experience in my life. I met a lot of people, and it's so prideful even when we go to memorial services now, like we went to Julius Bender when he passed away. We took my son with us. And
did Julius Bender play in the Cubs?
Yes,
He played baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, because I knew him. I didn't realize
he got drafted by the Yankees.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't realize he died.
Yeah.
He did.
And so when we took him to the memorial service, and it's like football, old head central. I mean, baseball, old head central. Like if you were a sports, anybody in the city, you were at this service.
And when we went to Ron Johnson's funeral, the one
Yes.
who played for Pittsburgh Steelers, because we had two Ron Johnsons.
Right.
We had one who went to Michigan and one who went to Eastern. You know?
And that experience, that allowed him to really experience the rich history, because you hear the stories. Or like when he first met Willie Horton for the first time, my son. And so we walk in and Willie's like, "Oh, Al, Poole, what's up? I ain't seen you in so long." And so my son's looking like, "Do you know him?" He's like, yeah. And they go over, you know how my dad used to be his ball boy and all this stuff. And Caden just stops and I'm like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize all the stories Grandpa told were like for real. These happen in real life." You know, and Willie like, "Yeah, Mr. Poole was my guy. What are you saying?" And it was like so amazing that the history still lives because the story still lives.
Yes.
And that's the important part. As long as we speak the truth and continue to let it live, Westside Cubs will never die.
I like that attitude.
You know?
So now we have your son here today. You want to say something?
Yeah, and let me call a roll right quick, because there, you know, my father and Ron Thompson. You have to. Ron Thompson is synonymous with the West Side Cubs. You know. No, well, you should have been around when he was off his crutches. But you know, we got guys like Willie Horton, Ron Johnson, Alex Johnson, John Mayberry.
Back up, Al. Are you saying Willie Horton played Cubs baseball?
Yeah, they were called Wally Cubs.
Wally Cubs.
Because the Wally station was on Linwood.
Okay.
I forgot the other cross street, but they were on Linwood.
Okay.
And that's when they were the only team from Detroit to ever win a national championship in Class A.
Ooh, okay, that's a bit of history I hadn't heard. Yeah.
You know,
Good baseball.
so was John Mayberry. My brother James got drafted number 5 by the Tigers. Troy Kyles. That's Troy Kyles gave us that scoreboard after he won the Super Bowl.
He donated the big scoreboard that they had before.
Okay.
You know, so you know we there's been, and then about 4 or 5 years ago we had 3. I can't remember. I don't know their names, but we had 3 guys off the West Side Cubs in the same draft. That got drafted by the NFL.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, we have your grandson here, Al, and Karen, your son, Caden Haliburton.
His father played with the Detroit Lions.
Okay, what's your father's name?
My father's name was Sheldon Haliburton.
Okay. And you just graduated from West Bloomfield High School?
That's right, sir. Yes.
Uh-huh. And you played on the West Side Cubs?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at West Bloomfield High School, you won a state championship, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Show everybody your ring, man. Desiree, can you focus on his?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. It's a good shot there, Desiree.
Yes, on the West Bloomfield football team, I had the honor and privilege to be to play on Ford Field with my teammates, brothers really, and and we came out victorious with a 41-0 score, and in the end we even ended up being ranked as the #1 football team at the high school level in the state of Michigan.
Congratulations.
That's tremendous. And Caden is on his way to college. You've been accepted where again?
I've been accepted to Champion Prep Academy, where I will be for 6 months, and then I intend to transfer to Morehouse in January.
All right, praise the Lord. All right, now we have two other guys here who also played on the Westside Cubs with me and Al. We have Dr. Dwight Andrews, Reverend Dr. Dwight Andrews. He's a pastor of a distinguished church in Atlanta, Georgia. His wife Desiree is operating the video today. But Dwight, what does the Westside Cubs mean to you?
Well, I have to say that as we listen to all of the distinguished people who came through Westside Cubs, I'm happy to just represent somebody who never got drafted, who never became a professional. But the Westside Cubs changed my whole life because of the way in which it helped me to grow up. It helped me to understand teamwork. It helped me to understand demands that went beyond my comfort zone. It helped me to appreciate your dad and all of the coaches that took us in as their own sons. It was life-changing, and the things that I learned on this very field, the athletes that I watched who were so much better than me, but they were our teammates, and all I did was take pride in Sam and Al and all of the great athletes, and the brotherhoods that we developed. Nick and I go back to the Westside Cubs.
So right here.
To this field, before ministry, before our band, the Seven Sounds, it was right here. So in a sense, all of my growing up was shaped by this field, the Westside Cubs and its program, and the ways in which it reminds us, like you were saying, as long as we say the truth, live the truth, we can transform our community. So I'm just getting energized all over again because I'm thinking about the legacy of all of the kids in all of those different teams who maybe didn't become professionals, but they became better human beings because of the Westside Cubs experience. So I'm eternally grateful. It was providential to be here so I could be in the midst of our extended family, and I'm just grateful to be a part of the Westside Cubs history. Now, I don't know if the book has been written yet about the Westside Cubs, but there needs to be one written because this history is so rich. I learned so much today that I just want to think about how can we do to tell the story again and again. So Nick, thanks for pulling us all together as you always do. Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, thank you, Dwight, for your recollections, your memories. Now I want to go to Mike Daniels. Michael Daniels, along with Dr. Reverend Dwight Andrews and Al Poole and myself, we all met at the same time. We didn't know each other.
Yeah.
10-year-old boys.
Michael, share some of your reflections.
Like Dwight said, this is life-changing. I was just riding down the street on my bike, and I saw some kids running around playing football, and I said, how can I join? He gave me a handful of raffle tickets, said, sell these and come back. And that was my introduction to the Westside Cubs, but it changed my life. It like you said, the teamwork. It was the first time I ever competed and won a starting position. And it taught you that if you work hard, set your goals, you can accomplish great things. And you worked with a group of men. I mean, men who affected me to the point that I founded, me and some more parents, founded a baseball league, Rosedale Baseball, where I coached for 12 years. But I coached because of the men who coached me on the Westside Cup. Mr. Sangster, Mr. Thompson, they talked about Mr. Poole, and all those men. Well, like you said, they don't get paid. Ain't no money involved in this organization. Just love, lots of love. And I'm glad to be proud of the legacy that came from there. And I hope we can continue this legacy. As you can see, it goes on through generations and generations. And I think it'll continue because there's a lot of pride and love here to do this. And I want to thank you, Nick, for giving me this opportunity to cry on camera about about my childhood experiences on the West Side Cub.
Yeah, well, let me just, you have something else you want to say, Al?
We're going first.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say this. Now, Al, Michael, and Dwight, you remember this, but if you can look this way, you can't really see it. But there were 3 houses on the corner of Broad Street and Boston. One of them was the garage for a man named Mr. Richardson.
No, that's further down.
That's further
Is it farther down?
Yeah, it was
Next
off.
street.
It was, you know.
Yeah.
Where?
Okay. Okay.
Where off
But
of what?
those are the 3
But it was off
garages.
of Broad Street, wasn't it?
No,
Burlington and K.
no, it was what's the name of that street there?
Okay.
Oh no,
What's the main street?
the street the Boys Club set up.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
No, that's
Well, let me share with you about Mr. Richardson. Mr. Richardson talked his neighbors, 2 other neighbors, into donating their garages during the summer and the fall. I don't know what they did.
This was constant.
Yeah, I don't know what they did, you know,
stored the equipment
after
there,
the
yeah.
fall, but we stored the equipment there. And unlike what you see today, where you see little boys walking down the street with shoulder pads and helmets and uniforms, Mr. Richardson and the men, your father,
Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Tucker, they controlled the uniforms because they knew they
Mr.
could
Scott.
not afford to lose it.
Scott.
And up until about 5 years ago, you know, I'm a minister now, and up until about 5 years ago, a fellow and different men would come up to me at funerals or other public gatherings, and they'd look at me and say, "Do you remember me? Do you know who I am?" And I say, "No." And invariably they'd say, "I used to watch you dress." And when I would hear that, I knew exactly what they were talking about because they could not afford to lose the equipment. And so they watched us like hawks.
everybody had a name.
Yeah, everybody had a nail,
Right.
and I think you had a number, right? And you had to put your equipment on your nail.
And if the equipment was on the ground when they came in the next day,
That's right.
you had to do push-ups
Yes,
for it.
you did.
Yeah.
Very
So
ordered. You learned a
Al,
lot
share
of
with us
order,
some other
respect for
reflections.
order.
You know, when I think about the Cubs, you know, we were multifaceted. You know, we played football, we played baseball, and that's the reason we got so good so quickly because we played multiple sports.
Yes.
You know, and we were encouraged to do that. And I think that's something that we've gotten away from
Yes, we did.
nowadays. You either have to specialize in one sport, and it kind of diminishes your skill level, or it diminishes your ability to get a scholarship. You know, because you might be average in football, but you could be great in baseball or track.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and high school athletic directors need to get back to the old school of doing stuff, allowing kids to do as much stuff as they can, because the bottom line is 4 free years.
Yeah.
That's what you do this for.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not talking about pro sports and stuff. You know, we want to educate our kids if they want to be educated. You know, give them the upper hand. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to also just express that we've had a lot of talent come through Westside Cubs, but like Mr. Dwight said, we've had Supreme Court justices, we've had doctors, we've got lawyers, we've got politicians, we've got some of everything. Any walk of life that you want, you can do it. And a lot of that has been fueled by the gas from the blades of this grass have fueled a lot of dreams. You know, they call the Corner Bar Park downtown the Field of Dreams, but this is the original Field of Dreams right here, because those dreams not only were dreamt, but they also came true. One of the pinnacles that I remember my grandfather teaching, every class that he talked to, he would always say, "I know you guys are going to become big and famous and wonderful, but I like for you to always remember you're going to go to your college and they're going to ask you to show them some love, and you're going to go to a lot of places and they're going to always ask you to show them some love. But I just ask of you that you never forget the place that taught you the love for the game. And you you always give back to the people that taught you the love for the game.
Karen, I appreciate that word. Mike, you were motioning to me. Is there something you want to say?
Blinking. I don't know how much time.
Well, we're running out of time, but I just want to say this. I thank God for the years that I played with the Westside Cubs. I thank God. I mean, because I met people like Al Poole, Dwight Andrews, Mike Daniels, and in a sense, it prepared the way for me to meet you, Karen Poole, before you were born, before you were a twinkling in your mother and father's eye. And young Haliburton, it gave me an opportunity to feel like I'm connected to you. And when you go down to Atlanta, and if the road gets rough and the way gets tough, call Dwight Andrews. He'll buy you a hamburger. Yeah, he'll have a shoulder to cry on.
I got an organization called Alpha Phi Alpha. We'll be glad to take care of it.
That's a whole different story.
I know it, but I always got to put my pitch in.
Yeah, but folk, again, I thank you for watching and tuning in to this little snippet of Detroit, United States, and worldwide history. This is a very unique organization that we've been part of. One thing's, I just want to get it out there because some of you may not know it, but Sam Garrison, who was a defensive...
He wrote the $250,000 grant.
Right, and who took the $250,000 grant to the city of Detroit. I was on the city council.
I was sitting out there. I was out there with
And so I've never been more proud in my life, to be a part of that. And so we've been videoed today by Dr. Desiree Pettisclew, who is the wife of Dr. Reverend Dwight Andrews. And Desiree is on the faculty at Spelman University. And what's your title, Desiree? She's the Dean of Undergraduate Studies. Hey, now. So I thank you for humbling yourself to just make the camera roll. Yeah, you're taking Mike's job. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. God bless, God keep you. If you have a child and you want to get them started in the right way, think about sending them to the Westside Cubs. God bless.